So what you're saying is Tom Brady and Kurt Warner and all these game managers. What's good, man? Easy 1-2 times. Appreciate y'all for liking, subscribing, man. Let's get into this, bro, because I'm really getting tired of this narrative, man. Ever since Jalen Hurts won the Super Bowl MVP 2 years ago, a lot of media has switched their ways of looking at a quarterback. What is a quarterback? What's elite quarterback, right? Now before it was winning championships, right? Because that's what we saw in great quarterbacks. Joe Montana had a great roster. No one questioned him about great rosters. No one shitted on him on great rosters. Kurt Warner goes to the Super Bowl. No one disgrades him of being a bum quarterback that was carried by a running back like a Marshall Falk or a Joe Montana that was carried by a Roger Craig. No one talked about that. Or even Troy Aikman, who was carried by elite rosters, elite defenses. All three of them had great defense. Tom Brady in Tampa Bay had a lot of rosters around him. Even in New England, he had weapons. Okay, no one said anything about them. They were quiet. They were quiet as a mouse. But now it's a problem that Jalen Hurts doesn't. See, I keep saying this, man. Like I keep saying this, bro. Y'all had an issue with this 2 years ago, and now you still have an issue, and you haven't got over it. See, y'all sit there in the comments and you acting like the rankings mean something. It doesn't. It doesn't. Because I remember 2 years ago, after Jalen Hurts lost the Super Bowl, and I pretty much said we were going to win the Super Bowl. And I'm telling you right now, Jalen Hurts is about to go back to the Super Bowl. I will get my last laugh. Okay? Because now the whole notion is game managers aren't good enough in the NFL. Right? They're looked at as a disgust, right? That they're not worthy, right? You have to be a Josh Allen to throw for 4,000 yards. That they don't win though, right? Because 4,000-yard passers, because I keep seeing it, right? Eagle fans keep telling me the ones that hate Jalen Hurts so much that don't like him, they keep saying he doesn't throw the ball enough. He don't throw for four. Someone said on my stream today, right, or in my comments that Jalen Hurts needs to throw for 4,000 yards or 4K yards. Why? Why does he need to throw for yards when all these quarterbacks that threw for yards don't win nothing in the playoffs? They don't go to Super Bowls. So why does he need to throw the ball? That makes sense for me. Troy Aikman didn't throw the ball a lot. He didn't. And this is the problem with these Cowboy fans, man, is now they're trying to act like Troy Aikman ain't Jalen Hurts. Oh, yes, he is. 100% he is. And it hurts you to say that because you wish your quarterback was that in Dallas. That's why you want a roster around him, because you think you have Troy Aikman in Dallas. You think you have Troy Aikman in Dallas and Dak Prescott, who is nothing like Troy Aikman. Because Troy Aikman was very clutch in big games, same as Jalen Hurts. The difference is Jalen Hurts doesn't have elite offense coordinator or elite offensive play caller like Jimmy Johnson that Troy Aikman had. Because the truth is, all these quarterbacks that were carried supposedly, right? Because that's what y'all like to do. They had good coaches. They had very good coaches who could call the offense. Mike Martz was the offensive coordinator for the Rams. Y'all didn't see nothing about Kurt Warner when he had the greatest show on turf. Y'all praised those things. But it's a problem when Jalen Hurts has those things, right? He's carried, right? Y'all flip the narrative now where it's not good to be a game manager. You use it as an insult, a stepping stool, as a crutch to shit on Jalen Hurts. And I'm just wondering, why is it a bad thing to be an elite game manager? When I say Jalen Hurts is an elite quarterback, I'm not saying he's the most talented, gifted quarterback in the world. I'm saying he's elite at winning, because that was the goal all through the NFL until Jalen won it. See, Jalen won the Super Bowl 2 years ago, and y'all still in your little feelings. You get in your feelings, and now the media has gotten in their feelings where these little pipsqueak Pee Wee Hermans, who clearly have not learned anything about football, who just come on here to type on a goddamn keyboard or put these little nerd stag geeks to the test and tell them which quarterbacks are better than Jalen. And you got guys like Jeremy Fowler, who never played football, never had a pigskin in his hands in general, is now out here trying to talk football, trying to be with the big boys, right? And now he wants to shit on Jalen Hurts because if I remember right, Jeremy Fowler said Jalen Hurts was never going to win a Super Bowl. He wasn't good enough, right? It was hilarious 2 years ago when Jalen was in the bowl, y'all were clowning him. Because I remember the videos where they were in my comments saying Jalen Hurts didn't win it though. But now when Jalen won it, now y'all don't want to talk about it. And now you want to use that as Jalen Hurts is a bad quarterback because he had one bad year of being inconsistent, which he still made the playoffs, still won the division, but he had a bad year, right? Right? I guess. But all these quarterbacks in the 90s, like Troy Aikman, Kurt Warner, Joe Montana, Steve Young, all these guys, I don't even have all the information for all those guys. I'm sure they had loaded rosters, right? Because every year, the quarterbacks that didn't have loaded rosters don't win Super Bowls. It was okay for Matthew Stafford with the Rams in 2023, 2020, was it 2023? I think it was 2020, yeah, 2023, to win a Super Bowl with a loaded roster. It was okay for him to do that. Y'all call him elite. He had a loaded roster already in the beginning. He already has another loaded roster now in the offseason with Myles Garrett to add to it. But y'all don't say nothing. Because you pick and choose what quarterback you don't say you don't, because you do. You don't like Jalen Hurts because he won it. You were hoping that Justin Herbert would win it. See, you hoped these other quarterbacks would win it before Jalen. And when Jalen went in that bowl, you were hoping he would lose, but you didn't want Mahomes to win. You were picking the Eagles to win, but you didn't want Jalen to win the Super Bowl MVP. You were hoping for Saquon Barkley to win it. Because the last thing you wanted, what you have to deal with right now, is me saying Super Bowl MVP Jalen Hurts. You didn't want that to happen. That wasn't reality to y'all. And some of you Eagle fans, man, you fake as hell. Because I be seeing you, some of them at work, years ago when I was in Giant, and I even pressed some of y'all for saying how much Jalen Hurts didn't mean nothing to that team. You know damn well Jalen Hurts is one of the greatest Eagle quarterbacks we had. But y'all over there shitting on him, really? When Don McNabb lost in 04, what was the biggest thing that we always said about him that he couldn't do? It was winning the bowl, right? When all these quarterbacks losers, are we sitting here giving them credit in the 2000s? Does people know who Jake Delhomme is? Y'all don't know who Jake Delhomme is. I do. But you don't. None of you young people know who Jake Delhomme is. Jake Delhomme was a very good quarterback. But he didn't win the bowl. So people don't really remember him. He was a very good quarterback for the Panthers before Cam Newton came. See, y'all remember Cam Newton. You don't remember who before Cam Newton got here. It was Jake Delhomme. They had Steve Smith. They had who the other guy named, I think Makua or something like that. Some weird name. No respect, I'm bad with names. But they had Julius Peppers. Because in order to win a Super Bowl, let me be real with you, you have to have a loaded roster. Even Patrick Mahomes, when he won those Super Bowls, he had a loaded roster. He did. He went into Kansas City with Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce. And he had a good roster. Y'all didn't say nothing about him. But now when Jalen wins it, he beats Patrick Mahomes. He wins Super Bowl MVP, which you were hoping we win the Super Bowl, but you didn't want Jalen to win Super Bowl MVP. That's what you didn't want. You were okay with us winning the Super Bowl. You were picking the Chiefs. Some of y'all didn't want the Chiefs to win. Some of y'all did, but some of y'all didn't. The only people that didn't want us to win was the Cowboy fans because they know deep down Jalen's coming for those titles soon, and we're going to be tied soon. All those 4 Super Bowls, those 5 Super Bowls, how many Super Bowls we have, you can't say that anymore. See, back then when I was in school, 5 years ago when we didn't win the championship, y'all were using those ringless jokes. Yeah, you were using those ringless jokes. I remember in school you used to do that a lot. Now you can't use them anymore. And it hurts you to say that. It hurts you to say that we're a 2-time Super Bowl champion football team. It hurts you. You already couldn't deal with the first time we won. Because I remember how y'all acted. You didn't pull up at my teachers who were Cowboy fans didn't even want anything to do with me. I'm sure they feel the same way right now. How much winning we're doing. Y'all know deep down if we get close to y'all, because we're almost tied with the Reds Commanders, whatever they call it. We only need one more to tie with them. That's why they're hoping we don't win another one. So they try to push their quarterback like Jaden Daniels is better than Jalen. Because the truth is, they know Jalen Hurts is going to win a couple more. And I don't care about the rankings. That's not why I was upset. I was upset because it just shows me the way they're hypocrites to the media, the way the fans who praise Tom Brady, you couldn't say nothing bad about Tom Brady when he first won it. He was the greatest comeback story ever. They praised him in New England. But now New England fans forgot who their quarterback was. You forgot who Tom Brady was? You forgot who Tom Brady was, New England Patriot fans? Ever since you got Drake May and A.J. Brown, you've been on Jalen Hurts like he hasn't been what your quarterback was, years ago? Wasn't Tom Brady a game manager? Just saying, man. All these other quarterbacks need loaded rosters, but yet when Jalen Hurts has a loaded roster, he's carried, right? He's not good enough. and then they get mad at you when you dispose who they are. A dude in the comments told me, and I wanted to put this up, that Terry Bradshaw and Peyton Manning is the same thing as Josh Allen being Peyton Manning, and Terry Bradshaw essentially is Jalen Hurts with a loaded roster. Terry Bradshaw is in the Hall of Fame. Peyton Manning is in the Hall of Fame. So if you sitting there telling me that Jalen Hurts will be in the Hall of Fame, I'll take that any day. He will win at least, Terry Bradshaw won maybe 3 Super Bowls, I believe? So you're telling me Jalen Hurts will be Terry Bradshaw? I'll take that any day. Because Terry Bradshaw is a Hall of Famer. But then he got mad at me and tried to tell me I don't know what I'm talking about. When you try to shit on Jalen Hurts and you act like Terry Bradshaw wasn't a good quarterback, you lose this game automatically. You lose the argument. Because Terry Bradshaw was a very good game manager, and he was considered as one of the great quarterbacks. But until, now it's the 4,000-yard passers, right, who don't win nothing. Who don't win that. Maybe Josh Allen should be more of a game manager. Maybe he'll actually get the freaking job done. Maybe Lamar should be the greatest guy on earth, right? The guy that's so Superman, right? He can make people miss. Maybe he should be more of a game manager, right? And have a team around him. Maybe Joe Burrow should stop taking money and let the team build around him. Instead, he wanted to pay his wide receivers. And they want me to feel bad for Joe Burrow? They want me to sit there and tell me and want me to admit that Jalen Hurts ain't good. And tell me that all these quarterbacks could win with the Eagles. They want to play fantasy. They want to play Madden fantasy, and it doesn't work like that. Because the truth is, Jalen's a winning mindset quarterback. And you like to use that against him. You like to pick on him because he doesn't have the biggest arm. He's not the fastest. He's not the tallest. He doesn't look a certain way. He doesn't throw a certain way. He's a bad quarterback in your eyes. And I think that's crazy. I think that's crazy. If they had to rank these quarterbacks in 2000, guess what? Tom Brady wouldn't be labeled as a great. They would still shit on him the way they do Jalen Hurts. No, they won't because he's in New England. Only if he's in Philadelphia they would have. But I'll tell you one thing, they'll put McNabb higher than him. The whole narrative flipped when Jalen Hurts won the Super Bowl and became Super Bowl MVP. The worst nightmare came through 2 years ago. And they can't get over it. And it's only going to get worse when Jalen wins another one. Wait till Jalen wins another one. You ain't going to be able to handle it. I'm telling you right now, there's going to be a lot of people who ain't going to like it this year. I'm going to sit back and laugh. Because honestly, I don't care about the rankings. My issue was the way they were treating him. Telling me he's the 17th best quarterback. And I'm supposed to listen to a Pee Wee Herman who has never played football. Jeremy Fella's never played football, but he's trying to tell me that he picked some good GMs. You picked guys that are like you, who don't know football. Because any quarterback who's been in the Hall of Fame, Kurt Warner, ask them if Jalen ain't clutch. Ask them if Jalen Hurts ain't a good quarterback. Every single one of them has came out and said, even Michael Irvin has said, Jalen Hurts is a great quarterback. Why did they trash him like this? The media has made it okay to be a game manager is not a good thing when Jalen Hurts won it. It was okay when Stafford went to the Super Bowl and had a loaded roster. They didn't say he was a game manager then. They call him elite. They call him elite. They don't like the fact that game managers are won when Jalen Hurts is in the conversation. They were okay with it when he wasn't there. They're okay with him winning the Super Bowl just as long as he's not a Super Bowl MVP. That was the worst nightmare they had. And I saw it come from a mile away. So I'm not surprised that they're doing the way Jalen Hurts they've been doing all season. But it's only going to get worse. Wait until he wins another one. and he goes and gets another Super Bowl MVP. Y'all gonna be sick. Oh, you're gonna be sick. I think Twitter should take 4 days off because it's gonna get bad for them. They're not gonna be able to handle it. What are you gonna say when I say 2-time Super Bowl MVP Jalen Hurts? What are you gonna say? You better not say nothing to me. You better close your mouth. Now, I don't want to hear about Josh Allen if he don't win this year. I don't want to hear about it. If Jalen wins another Super Bowl, you ain't going to have nothing to say to me. You already don't have nothing to say to me because most of these quarterbacks don't win. But if he wins another one, and Joshy and Lamar and all these guys, Herbert, May, all these guys that you say are better than Jalen don't get there, there's going to be a lot of fans crying. I'm telling you because I'm getting tired and sick and tired of hearing the same thing they use for my quarterback. But when I bring up all these other quarterbacks, you don't want to talk about it. Cowboy fans are now in denial. They don't want to bring up Troy Aikman. Why is that? You embarrassed that he's a great game manager? He was. That wasn't a bad thing. That's not a bad thing. Now you trying to act like Troy Aikman was this great gunslinger. He wasn't. He had a loaded roster. Now you over there saying Jalen Hurts and Troy Aikman are not the same, right? Why aren't they? They both didn't throw for 3,000 yards. They weren't really gunslinging it all through the ground. They used the running game a lot. Sounds like Troy Aikman to me. See, Troy Aikman became a bad thing now when we compare it to Jalen Hurts. Too bad one thing. Jerry Jones wanted Jalen Hurts in the draft. And he was going to be your franchise quarterback. What happened if Jalen Hurts was your franchise quarterback? Would you be trading him only in Philadelphia? I know why. If he was in if he was in Dallas, y'all be treating him differently. I know that you are hoping Dak Prescott is Troy Aikman with elite defense. I'm going to tell you right now, it's not going to happen. Dak Prescott is nothing like Troy Aikman. He's more like Tony Romo. A good casual stat padding quarterback. But don't win big ones. You got Tony Romo 2.0. We got Troy Aikman in Philadelphia. Now, I wouldn't say he's Troy Aikman in Philadelphia. I'm saying he's going to be the same thing as Troy Aikman when it's all said and done. He will be in the same conversation as Troy Aikman. And it pains you to see that. He's already had one Super Bowl. He's already been to 2 Super Bowls and 1 Super Bowl MVP. How many has Troy Aikman been to? 4? I mean, Kurt Warner been to 2. Y'all don't say nothing about him. Where's all the people shitting on Kurt Warner? He had a loaded roster. Exactly, man. Only became an issue when Jalen Hurts won it. That's when people now want to talk about 4K yards, man. Come on, bro. We know this game. We know how y'all play. Anyway, man, we're almost close to 700 subscribers, man. Hit that like button, subscribe. I'm out.